Welcome back, my skating peoples, to another season of That Figure Skating Show. I am your overbearing and loquacious host, Asher Hill, and I am joined by the incomparable, the vivacious, the woman who makes leather look, Brenda Irving.
Stop it.
I shall not. Okay. It's been a while since we've spoken to you, but upcoming, we have all the things that led up to this season, including beautiful, beautiful weddings in the skating community. Patrick Chan gets inducted into the Canadian Sports Hall of Fame. The Canadians that will be competing on the Grand Prix circuit this season. And of course, a preview of Skate America that's happening this weekend in Allen, Texas, y'all.
Can you believe just 16 months now to the Olympic Games? It blows my mind.
Like, I feel the Olympics just finished. We had a Summer Olympics, and now next season is going to be Olympic season.
But how important is this season for all these athletes, right? They can start to feel things getting a little tense because what happens at World Championships determines, how many skaters Canada can send in each discipline to the Olympic Games. So it's big time now.
It is a big time, and I'm sure the athletes are feeling the pressure. They want those spots for their country. But before we get to that and the Canadians that will be representing us on the world stage, let's talk about the good stuff that happened leading up to this season, including the sound of bells in the air, weddings.
Aww.
There were so
Beautiful
many
weddings.
Like gorgeous. I mean, they're figure skaters.
Over the top weddings.
Figure skating. Kirsten Moore Towers and Liam Fierce tied the knot, as well as his brother Shane Fierce with his longtime skating partner and life partner, Caroline Soucis. Madison Chalk and Evan Bates had a beautiful wedding in Hawaii. A spread in People's Magazine. Hello covered Alexandra Trusova's wedding. And then Piper Gillis and Nathan Kelly got married in Toronto in a beautiful ceremony, which was also very ornate and over the top. I loved.
Okay, this is your average wedding at the Legion, right? Like these are big time, expensive, beautiful weddings, right? Look at the one in Hawaii, right? Chalk and Bates. Gorgeous.
Gorgeous. Her wedding dress was Vera Wang, which also was a figure skater, so connection there. And then she had an after cocktail dress made by Mathieu Caron, who is a dressmaker who's become very famous in the skating world. But again, it's figure skating. We wear designer outfits all the time to just sweat in and get points in, so I'm not surprised that these weddings were over the top.
And, bringing it back home to Canada, Piper Gillis. What an incredible dress that was.
Yeah,
that was haute couture.
No notes. And of course, I forgot Paulina Edmonds married her partner, Ian Bast, in a wedding, and a little Canadian connection there. Nam Nguyen was her prom date way back when.
And was at the wedding, right?
Was at the wedding, yes.
Good for him. He got an invite.
Oh, yeah. I didn't. I didn't get an
just
invite to any of these, so I'm just going to say your commentary might not be as favorable this year. I'm kidding. But we go from good to a little bit of a disappointing news. And of course, I am talking about the Kamila Valieva saga that affected the team event at the Beijing Olympics.
Yeah, now that was certainly not great news for the Canadians. Canada was hoping to get upgraded from 4th place to 3rd place in the team competition from Beijing. But Russia's Kamila Valieva retroactively was disqualified for a banned substance. Canada thought they could move up because of the points that she lost. Canada would gain those points. The IO said, no, we're not counting it that way, which had some people in disbelief. Canada appealed the decision, but no, they did not get upgraded to the bronze medal. The Russians took that. And it was, for the U.S. who won gold and the Japanese who won silver, it was a pretty special, even though it was 2.5 years later, a ceremony where they got the medals under the Eiffel Tower at the Paris Olympics this summer. Of course, the Russians, they can't participate in the Olympics because of the war in Ukraine. But it was a lovely ceremony. They weren't there, but the Japanese and the Americans were glad. In some ways, it was all over, and they finally got their medals.
Yes, and the reason why people were kind of confused at the decision to not upgrade Canada bronze was there was literally an ISU rule that upgrades everyone below the disqualified person up that would have given them the point to get to the bronze medal. And we spoke to Kirsten earlier this year when the decision to disqualify her was made and to not give Canada the bronze, and she called it a tragedy. And it's because you work your life for this, and to not get there, especially when it flies in the face of the rules you've been following, is very heartbreaking.
Can we talk about one other good thing, though? We can't forget our friend Patrick Chan. He's being inducted into the Hall of Fame, the Canadian Sports Hall of Fame. And what a special moment for him, everything that he's accomplished for this country, including 3 straight World Championship titles. And, he's, as they say, is this true, a skater's skater. But I saw him, for example, at Stars on Ice. He was performing there, and I forgot how beautiful his skating is. The speed across the ice. As an ice dancer, you must love it.
Anytime he touched the ice, it was perfection. And he's one of those rare skaters that can combine all the elements into skating and master them all. You get one of those per generation, and we were so lucky to have him. And honestly, I thought he was already in the Sports Hall of Fame, but that's because I'm just a Patrick fanatic. And one more piece of good news that we completely forgot. Tessa Virtue welcomed her baby, McCormick Riley, with her husband, Morgan Riley, a defenseman for the Toronto Leafs. The Duchess of Canada now has a little Duke. So exciting.
Very cute pictures.
And now from there, we have some ugly news.
Yes, the Canadian ice dancer, Nikolai Sorensen, was barred from competing for a minimum of 6 years. He was accused of sexual maltreatment. The sexual assault, apparently the accusation by a female American coach and former skater, that this incident happened back in 2012. He's denied the allegation. It has not been tested in court. He has the ability to appeal. But certainly disappointment for the Canadian ice dance team. And Lawrence Fournier-Baudry, who is his partner on and off the ice, she also, now what happens to her? Will she find someone else to compete with? But this was the number 2 team behind Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier in Canada. This is significant because you have to think Canada likely will send 3 teams to the Olympic Games next year in Milano, and that opens up a spot for one of the teams that was kind of struggling between 4th and 5th place to move up and maybe get one of those spots.
And there are actually 2 to 3 teams in Canada that I think could kind of enter that sphere. We have Paul Ayer and Alicia Fabry. We have Peter Beaumont and Nadia Bakshina. And we also have Roman Legac and, oh my gosh, please forgive me, Roman Legac and...
Marie-Jade
Loyot. Thank you so much. Sorry, Marie-Jade. I promise I remember your name, just not for that moment. But I think that this is exciting, even though what happened to get here is very disappointing. Of course, we want safety in sport. It took time for this stuff to come out, and they found it credible, the Office of Sports Commissioner for Canada, so they found it credible. And I just hope moving forward that we can keep making this sport safe, because these stories, don't do us any justice, and we should always remember the victims.
Let's take a look at some of the people that we're going to see on the Grand Prix Tour from the Canadian perspective, starting with the women. We have Maddie Skeesis, Kaya Ryder, and of course, Sarah Maud Dupuis. The only one of them has a couple of Grand Prix assignments, and that is Maddie. All 3 will be at Skate Canada International, but Maddie will also be at the Cup of China. Yeah,
and I think that The Canadian women, if you look on the international circuit, and of course we talked about how important this year is for those Olympic spots, we're lagging behind, and I think the Canadian women need a little bit of a kick, if I'm being honest. Although Maddie had a good start to her season with 2 good place finishes on our
Right.
Challenger Series.
Well, Kaya Ryder, first time she won. Well, she won the Canadian title. She's a reigning Canadian champion. I'm excited to see, how that might be a boost to her confidence moving forward. And then the men's team, 4. Who are they?
We got Wesley Chu, Roman Sadovsky, Alexa Rakic, and Steven Gogolev. The only 2 that have 2 assignments are Wesley Chu. He will be at Skate America this weekend in China, and Steven Gogolev is going to NHK and Skate Canada.
Steven Gogolev. So he this is a fellow that at 13 years of age won the Junior Grand Prix final. He had it all, and then he grew, I think, over a foot. And so he's struggled to try to find his form again. He was down in the States training for quite a while, but now he's back home. He's with Lee Barkel in Toronto again. So good to have him home and see what kind of difference that makes in his skating.
And of course, he had to deal with a horrific injury that pulled him out for so long. And I think last year was a pretty decent year for him, and I'm excited to see what he will do this season.
Okay, Canada's strongest team by far has to be the ice dance. You got Piper Gillis, Paul Poirier, Lejoie, Laga, Loriot, Lagac, and Fabri Air. I mean, this is going to be a dogfight for those 3 positions, in particular for the bronze medal position, that 3rd position that will take you not only at the World Championships, but likely to the Olympic Games.
Yeah, and we're not gonna see Piper and Paul till Skate Canada, which is typical of the higher ice dance teams. They might do some Challenger Series, so really excited to see what they bring. And like we had talked about before, this is the year for Paul Ayer and Roman Lagac and Marie Jade to really make their mark to say, hey, I'm here, get me to those Olympics.
And what about Lejoie and Laga? Like, this is a team that finished 5th at the World Championships. They're uber talented. And you think this is the time they want to really fight for that podium. Yeah. But they've had injuries, and they're injured again in the preseason to the Grand Prix. Yeah. And so we're going to see them for the first time at Skate Canada International. So just hope that they can keep it together, because they've been through so many injuries the last couple of years, a concussion, a bad back, you name it. But when they're on, they could challenge for the top of the podium.
Absolutely, and they will be joined at Skate Canada by the reigning world silver medalists, Piper Gillis and Paul Poirier. And here's what they had to say after their world championship medal and the national team camp in September.
Winning the silver medal at the World Championships at home was so incredibly special. I think, it wasn't gold, but I think the moment that we created was everything that we put into being able to skate last, being able to just stand and embrace everybody in Montreal who came out to support us, our friends, our family, our fans. Our fans from other countries even came, and it was just so incredibly special just to have that moment and to still win the free dance. I think we accomplished what we were going in for, and I think that really kind of fueled us a little bit to come back this season, because we got so close. And I think we thought that maybe Montreal would be the end, but maybe it was just the little nudge that we needed to keep going forward.
And honestly, I'm happy that they're staying for one more Olympic cycle. I know that talking to them personally, they say take it year by year. But I'm excited to see what they do this season. Every time they come out and they give us something brand new. And thank you, World Championships, for giving them that nudge so they'll stay with us.
Well, the best performance at the World Championships was by the Canadian pairs team, Deanna Stiletto and Maxime Duchamp. They're back. The other 2 teams that they'll be competing with Well, you kind of got it there. Probably your world team, maybe your Olympic team, Kellyanne Laurent, Lucas Etier. They'll be competing on the Grand Prix Tour again, and Leah Pereira and Trent Michaud. And let's listen to what Deanna had to say about all the excitement at those World Championships.
I feel like it honestly still has not quite sunken in yet. It's you go to this World Championship and then we immediately go and do other work right afterwards, and then the new season begins. So you don't really have a lot of time to marinate in that successful moment before you have to turn around and do it again. So I feel like maybe when I'm older and I'm retired and I can have a nice glass of wine on a Friday night, I can really think about how amazing of a moment that was.
She says when she gets older. She's an incredible role model for so many older athletes. But I think at the Olympic Games, she will be 44 years old and still, they'll be in contention, no doubt, for the Olympic title. Okay. One more group that we have to talk about the class at Skate America. I forgot about that.
Oh, yes. We have 3 entries. Yeah, 2 in ice dance, 1 in the men. In the men, we have Wesley Chu. And then in the ice dance, we have Roman Lagak and, Kellyanne,
Class at Skate America.
Yes,
So, right?
Yeah.
Fabry and Air, but that was a late second decision just a couple of days ago, you were telling me.
That was a few days ago, and it actually happened because of the suspension of Nikolai Sorensen from sport. And so they get another opportunity to show their chops on the world stage. They actually medaled at their last Challenger Series earlier this month or last month. So this, again, is another opportunity to show Skate Canada they have what it takes to be on the Olympic team for next year.
Yeah, so Wesley Chu's going to be there as well. The first time since he's been Canadian champion, competing, which is kind of fun for him. Just like Kyle Ryder, going into your first season after being named a Canadian champion, it's got to do something for your confidence. But Skate America's this weekend. And, all the talk lately is always about Ilya Malinin and what he can do, the quad god. What do you think?
I think he already started this season by winning his first Challenger Series by 21 points. And I think he's a world record holder. He's the Olympic world champion. He is just getting started. He's working with Shaylin Bourne. He's always been criticized for his artistic weaknesses, which I'm now starting to agree less and less with. He's bringing the firepower, letting you know that he is a skater all around. And
but he's no Patrick Chan.
He's no Patrick Chan.
Let's listen to what Patrick had to say about the quad god.
We're entering a time in the sport where we've seen things for the first time. We're breaking records. Ilya's, kind of the new face of the sport in a way. And it's amazing what he can do. I was on tour with him this past spring, and just seeing his talent is insane. Like, I've never seen someone so talented. I grew up watching Kurt, Elvis, Brian Orser, and those were my mentors and who I looked up to. And the sport looked so different then than it does now. It's neither good, neither bad. It's just evolution. I just hope that and as a result, the athletes are so much younger. So then we, I think, lose a bit of that, je ne sais quoi, like telling a story and being really involved in telling the story of Phantom of the Opera, right? And the love story. And I think there's a bit less importance to put towards that. But of course, there's less importance because you got to be able to do 4 quads, 5 quads. So there's just less time to spend on the other aspects and parts of figure skating. We're just in this era where it's like all about the jumps.
And it's interesting. I can read between the lines there. He doesn't think it's a good thing. But no, the quad is so some would say overvalued, that it doesn't matter what happens, and yes, he has improved his artistry, but I don't agree. He's got a long way to go. And I'm not talking about to catch up to Patrick, but anyway, he is trying different things like the backflip.
So, this is an eternal struggle with figure skating, artistry versus technical ability. In fact, ISU Congress was thinking about getting rid of a jump and a spin and putting in just a choreographic element, which would have been a spin to allow time for that skating. They didn't pass it, and so now they left us with some little other thing, the backflip. The backflip, which has been banned in this sport for decades now, is now allowed. Shout out to Surya Bonnelly. Here is Adam Shauhim-Fa doing it at the World Championships when he thought he was so far back, why not? And Alia Malinin did it this year at a Challenger Series at the Lombardia Trophy.
Doesn't cost you, but you don't get any points, right?
Exactly. It's more of a transitional movement. Skaters will more likely use it in their choreographic sequence. So it's all for GOE and that second mark, but still exciting.
Okay, so I have Kevin Amos and, yes, Denis Vasiliev as my second and third place, but whatever. Let's talk about the pairs. And I think it's pretty slam dunk who we think is going to win.
Yeah, my money's on the Japanese, Rikumura and Riichi Kihara. They've been untouchable for a while. They, of course, had injuries last year. We didn't really see them until Four Continents and the World Championships, but they were still able to pull out a silver medal. And finally, they got a normal season, and actually they finished second to the Italians, Conti and Machi, which is very rare for them, especially if the Italians.
And they train just down the road in Oakville, of course, with Bruno, and they're an incredible team. And yes, they did have injuries, and that opened the door up for the Canadians, who were deserving winners. But watch out, it's going to be a great battle for top spot. And then we have the women's podium. I'm going with Elise Lynn Gracie, a 17-year-old who won Nebelhorn. She beat the reigning world silver medalist, American compatriot Isabel Levito, twice this season, and she has the highest season total score of over 213 points. I see this at Skate America as a U.S. sweep with Isabeau finishing in second place and Brady Tennell. Maybe not. A lot of people think maybe a Japanese skater will get in there, but I think Brady has a chance to get that American sweep with Elise and Isabeau.
And Elise Lynn Gracie is very exciting to me. Not only does she have the highest points, I think she has one of the highest and longest triplettes in the women's event this season. I absolutely agree that it could potentially be an American sweep, but you cannot count out Belgium's Nina Pinzarone.
Right.
She is a hardened competitor. She came back from a fractured hip, had to compete at the World Championships with a nosebleed issue, had to get her nose cauterized, was doing programs with tissue in her nose. So you cannot count out this girl. It's the reality. I'm just saying she's not going to let it go easily. And plus she's medaled on the Grand Prix circuit and qualified for the Grand Prix final last year.
Ice dance.
Yeah.
Mason Chalk, Evan Bates, newlyweds.
Newlyweds, and maybe not newly winners of Skate America. They've done it multiple times. This is in the bag for them.
Yeah, world champions. Lila Fear, Lewis Gibson of Britain. They were fourth at Worlds. You got to think they'll win the silver medal. And it's going to be interesting to see Diana Davis and Gleb Smolkin. They're from Georgia, and they've been injured so far this season. One would think they'd win the bronze medal, but the injuries, don't know how it's going to affect them here, but that could open the door up for maybe a Canadian ice dance team to be on the podium. We'll have to wait and see about that. But I don't know, Asher. I can't wait to get the season started. 6 Grand Prix stops, the top 5 in each discipline go to the Grand Prix final in France. Sorry, 6.
Top 6.
Go to the Grand Prix final in France. So that's going to be... It's going to be fun.
That's going to be amazing. And you can watch Skate America starting October 17th at 7 p.m. Eastern on CBC Gem. And then, of course, next weekend, it is Skate Canada. And CBC will be having 9 hours of live coverage on TV. It's so exciting.
Kurt Browning, Carol Lane.
The whole crew is getting back together. You guys
The band is back.
Yes, you guys are impeccable. I love hearing you. The only thing that kind of scares me is Carol used to be in the rink all the time with me, and then hearing her in my house, I'm like, where is she?
What I do wrong.
Exactly. But, and of course, we will be live with Anastasia Busic. Am I pronouncing that right?
Close.
Okay, I'm sorry, Anastasia. We will be live with her next Thursday, and the streaming will start October 25th for Skate Canada. And
Bye, all.
of course, Brenda, thank you for coming with me. We will be back for that Skate Canada recap next week. Thank you, my skating peoples, and enjoy this Grand Prix series as much as we will. So long.